Okay, looks like we're live. Fantastic. So I'm just going to give a minute or two to get the viewer counter up and make sure everybody's tuning in. So I've just seen a lovely picture of some flowers from Carice on Twitter. So thanks, that's a good start to the morning, seeing a nice photo. Not seeing any viewers yet though. One viewer, brilliant. One viewer indeed. So maybe the technology is just on a go slow today. 3 viewers now, fantastic. 5 viewers. Gosh, this could get really exciting watching viewing counters. Okay, brilliant. It's ticking up nicely now. So morning, everyone, or rather afternoon for you guys. As you will see, I'm on my own today. Sarah is not very well. Must be all that bouncing around on the boat in the storm yesterday. But yeah, so it will be just me. So what I'd like to do this morning is just run through the feedback document that I posted, because we hadn't quite finished yesterday morning with the topic 2 feedback. So I just want to run through that and obviously take any questions that you have. So if I could just check first of all that you're there and listening. So if you could send me some thumbs up or something, that would be brilliant. Hey, great. I've got some hellos and mornings from lots of people and smileys. Great, fantastic. So if you would like to send Sarah some nice photos to cheer her up, I'm sure she'd welcome that. And obviously I'd like to see where you are and what you're doing. So please keep those photos coming in. And any questions, obviously, that you have, just pop them in the chat room and I'll keep an eye on that as well. So where are we then, first of all, in terms of timings? As you know, your topic 3 reflection and comments should be posted by the end of today. And then tomorrow you start topic 4. And you've actually got the whole weekend to think about topic 4, should you wish. So there's plenty of time to get into that one, and less time pressure than you've had over the past few days. I noticed on Twitter that a number of you are sharing links to comments and telling people that you've commented, and that's great. I think it's really good to start using Twitter proactively in terms of not just a message system, but also, for sharing and building your networks and thinking about the other part of the assessment that we discussed yesterday, which is building your own digital profiles. So I'm just looking at the chat board here, and I'm not seeing any questions yet, but a nice few smileys, which is great. Okay, so, and I'm going to check Twitter now, see if there's anything on there. Nope. The flowers, very nice, but no new ones. Right, so what I'll do now then is I'll just go through the feedback post on topic 2, because you've still got some time if you haven't taken all the feedback on board. And obviously you've got your own individual comments, but this general feedback should be useful for everyone to a greater or lesser extent. So I just want to make sure that you've understood that okay. It is in the general feedback section of the module blog. And what have I said? Thanks for all the discussions about online identity. Yeah, we thought overall that the topic was, everyone had done much better with this topic than with topic 1, which is what normally happens, which is good to see. So yeah, lots of effort clearly gone into it. So thank you very much for that. Obviously, I think it seems an obvious point, but maybe it isn't. You do each write quite short posts. That's deliberate. It's partly the blogging style, and also because if you add up all the posts that you do over the course of the module, it does come to quite a lot in total. And so there's no way that any single post can cover all aspects of the topic, and we don't expect you to try. But part of the point of reading each other's work is to see other perspectives and things that other people have included that maybe hadn't occurred to you. So collectively, I think there should be a range of perspectives on any of the topics that we do, although obviously any one post isn't going to be able to cover everything. But if you see the course resources as being your collective efforts, then I think you'll agree there's some really valuable material there. Okay, Yeah, a point about online identity that not everybody really seemed to get was that you can still have a single online identity, i.e. it is you, but you express that in different ways across different services. So you might use different pictures, you might use different usernames, you might write in a different style, but it's still you as one person. When we think about multiple identities, it's really more than that. It's where you've got a whole persona in a completely different name, personality, and you've deliberately created a whole new character. And that's quite different from just having one person saying, okay, well, I use Facebook for social and I use Twitter for business. It's a very different level of multiple identities altogether. And I don't think everybody necessarily got that. So I thought that was an important point to register. The next thing I said was, oh yes, I think it's a bit of an overcorrection in some cases, because in topic 1, a bit of the feedback I gave was that some people were just repeating back to us what we'd already given. And I said, don't do that, use your own examples, find your own resources. So a number of you did exactly that in topic 2, and came up with some really interesting stuff, but seemed to have forgotten the main resources altogether. So I just try to move the balance back a bit. So we certainly don't want you to reflect back all the things we give you, but it is a good idea just to demonstrate that you have read them and you do understand them, and that you've picked on a particular point from that reading that you want to develop further in your own way. So if you ignore it totally, then we'll just think you haven't even read it, which would not possibly be the case, would it? I'm sure none of you have made that mistake. So I think the key point there is just to try and get the balance in your post between bringing in your own experience and new research that you've done, while also at the same time demonstrating that you've taken on board the key points of the topic itself that we started from. Okay, so I think it's just a little bit of adjustment needed in some cases. Right, I'm rabbiting on. I'm just going to stop for a minute and see if anyone's posed any questions. So let's have a look. Nope. I'm seeing smileys. That's good. So if it's all clear so far, send me a thumbs up or a smiley. Or please, if there's any questions, do raise them. It may well be that it's something that other people would like to ask, and everyone thinks someone else will ask the question for you, and in the end, nobody does. But part of the point of these sessions is your opportunity for real-time discussion. So please do beam in if you have a question, or if I'm talking rubbish, just say so. Okay, I'm getting lots of smileys. Fantastic. Okay, brilliant. Right, okay, so back at that feedback post then. Where do we get to next? Right. Okay, constructively critical. Yes, this is what Sarah was talking about yesterday. We think you're all being very, very polite about each other's work, which is great. But in terms of moving your marks along to the right-hand side of the columns, it certainly doesn't mean being rude about each other's work, but challenging in a polite way what someone has written is perfectly acceptable and is in fact encouraged. So a comment like, I really enjoyed your post. It made me think about blah blah blah, but I didn't think that you'd included that in your work. Do you think that's something you might have added to it, or something like that? I've just sort of talked that rubbish off the top of my head, but just politely pointing out, perhaps if you think that somebody has ignored an important point, and providing some evidence to show why you think that point is important and that perhaps they should reflect on it. And that's really what we mean by constructive criticism. Okay, so you don't have to keep saying things like, I really love your blog, it's amazing. That's all well and good, but it doesn't really add anything to the discussion. Okay, and I'm just scrolling down to see what else I wrote. Comments, posts. Right, okay, raising the bar for topic 3. So a few practical points that I've noticed looking through the blogs. there's still some people that haven't really populated their blog with anything beyond the actual posts. So it makes it look a bit bare. And whilst we certainly don't expect the blogs to be a major design project, and you don't get marked as such for how professional your blog looks, there are some basic things you can do. For example, you can import your Twitter feed into a column so that your tweets are visible. Not everyone has done that. You can have a comments feed, so it's easy to see what comments have been made on your posts, and things like that. You can make sure, obviously, that the about page is complete, that you've taken out all of the standard things that WordPress leave in there as fillers for you to mess around with. So there's some practical things about the layout and the look of your blog that you can do to just tidy it up and make it look smart, but obviously without going to the extent of you don't need to do any coding or anything dramatic like that. So yeah, so be careful to make sure your blog puts you across in a professional way, and there's some some really basic things you can do to make that look good. Rely less on text. We're seeing this, and we always see this through the course, that people get more experimental and start to experiment with getting their points across in more creative ways. So if you are thinking that 400 words isn't enough, then obviously no, it isn't. But there are things that you can do to get around that, but to really add value without adding words, if you see what I mean. A diagram, for example, can be a very good summary of something that might take 100 words to describe. Or putting in a little slide deck, some people have done, embedding a slide deck with some key points or images that add value. The key point, though, is make sure it adds value. We don't want to see people just sticking things in for the sake of it, just so they think it looks good. But if you can genuinely add value to what you want to say by using something other than text, then that's a really good idea. Okay, and another point which is becoming more important now, really, given that we're almost at topic 4, is to think about how the different topics that we've covered relate to each other, and to think back and make connections between the topics in your reflections. And some of you have started to do that, which is good. But the topics are very much interrelated, and you can demonstrate how your understanding is growing over the module by just thinking back to what you've done before. And maybe you've come across something new in one of the more recent topics, which makes you reassess what you said earlier in the course. And that would be a good thing to reflect on in your summary. Okay, what else have I said on here? I just need to scroll down a bit more. I said this wasn't going to be a long post, but it did get a bit long in the end. Making good use of Twitter, yes. You guys are really good with Twitter, actually. You're much better than the UK group. Maybe that's helped by the shorter nature of your course, and the more quickly things turn around, then Twitter really comes into its own as a real-time mechanism. But yeah, think about using Twitter not just to talk to each other, but to follow useful accounts. Find accounts that are useful to you, places that provide material, whether it's statistics or marketing articles or whatever interests you and is relevant that they publish. Then follow them on Twitter, and then you'll always get their updates. So think about expanding your Twitter network beyond the course. Look, for example, at people at the university who use Twitter. See what they use it for. Are they tweeting things that you think are useful to you, and follow them? Or local companies that you may wish to work for. And there's a whole host of possible accounts that would add value to your network. And don't just follow them, engage with them. Maybe that you've used an article in one of your posts, and you follow the author of that article on Twitter. You could send them a message and say you enjoyed their article, you've used it in your blog, and send them a link. And you never know, you might get into a dialogue with them. That's the kind of thing that can really add some unexpected value. You can never guarantee it, of course, but you never know. If you don't try, you don't get. Right. that's probably the end of that post. Yes. Okay, so I've galloped through there what I said in the general feedback post yesterday. So please do have a look at that if you haven't yet done so. I'm just going to check now and see if there's any questions. Is having multiple identities considered unauthentic? Ah, well, that's a good question, isn't it? That's where there are pros and cons on both sides, and a number of you have argued that in different ways. And I think a number of you realise that there are some occasions where having multiple identities is necessary and certainly valuable, particularly if you're operating in any kind of dangerous conditions and you're involved in politics in some regions of the world, for example, then it may be literally dangerous to you to reveal your real identity. So I think there certainly are cases where it works, and it's not a black and white, yes, this is always good or this is always bad type situation, which I think is what makes these topics so interesting. You can always find arguments to influence you one way or the other. Okay, any more questions there? I'm seeing lots of smileys, which is good. No more questions at the moment. I'm just going to see if there's anything appeared on Twitter. Let's have a look. Nope, no more tweets. No one sent a photo to Sarah yet. Be great if you could just send her a nice smiley photo of a group of you or something, or pets, to cheer her up. That'd be brilliant. Right, okay. So I think that's what I wanted to say this morning. I'm going to start tonight on marking your topic 3s, and I hope to have them all done by tomorrow morning, but I'm not going to promise totally, because I know last time I did have a few left over that I finished off yesterday morning, but I'll do my best to get them all done tonight. And I believe Nick's going to be joining us tomorrow. He's on his way back from sunny Mauritius at the moment, and so he's going to be joining us tomorrow morning. Right, I'm just having a last look to see if there's any questions, and there aren't. Nope. Okay, so I'm going to give you a 2-minute warning on the questions then, and just recap where we've got to. Topic 3 by the end of today, obviously. Final posts. Topic 4 starts tomorrow. I think you'll like topic 4. And it gives you lots of scope to come up with a range of very different topics to discuss. But more about that tomorrow. And okay, I'm just going to have a last check of Twitter. No, all quiet on the tweeting front. And last check back on the questions. Gosh, you've all gone really quiet. I'm not getting anything through. So, right, I'm going to ask then for a final set of smileys or thumbs up if you're all clear and understand where you're going. And provided I get a few of those, I will be happy and sign off and let you get back to whatever you were doing. So I've got one. Zin, thank you. Yes, and Teresa. Great, brilliant. Smileys are coming through now. Okay, so thanks very much then, everyone. Make sure you've read the feedback, the general feedback, as well as your individual, of course. And don't forget you can add comments to your feedback documents. If there's anything that's unclear, just pop a comment on the sheet and query it, and we'll check that out. So please don't sit suffering in silence if you're not sure about something. Oh no, we're not going to start talking about Donald Trump. I am absolutely not going to get into any conversations about Donald Trump. I was feeling slightly more cheerful this morning. Thank you, Shafiq, until you brought that one in. And I keep seeing that tweet from yesterday too. I'm going to delete. Oh, I can't delete it, can I? It have to come from your end. That tweet with this horrible smiling face. Okay, so on that cheery note, I'm going to get the FBI after me now. After that cheery note, I will say goodbye and see you all tomorrow. So thanks for tuning in and enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, bye.